You know, every so often I come across something that reminds me of my childhood, early teenage years. And this particular segment of the AM Joy show reminded me of it after I viewed the entire clip. The phrase that came to mind was, "Do you swallow?" Now that's a reference, most guys will know what that basically means. But in this particular case, it comes to mind when I think of a lot of the Donald Trump supporters. Now, to be honest with you, I think a lot of them, I don't know about most, but a lot of them are decent people. And they have particular issues that they basically want to hang their hats on. Some of them could be economics, some of them could be national security or safety, you know, various things that Trump talks about, that he's going to be better than Obama or Hillary Clinton, and that's why you should vote for him. But there are other facets of his character, personality, that are extremely troubling. And if you were to take those facets on their own face as a standalone, I think a lot of people would have to turn their backs on Trump and disavow him. Now, this is one particular case that is being made that Trump is basically a racist. And I tend to agree with that viewpoint. I believe he's not just a racist against black people, and I'm not going into the Central Park Five again or the Department of Justice lawsuit that he lost for discriminating against black people in housing, as far as allowing black people to obtain apartments or condos in his buildings. Buildings is plural, by the way. But unconsciously, this guy doesn't recognize things that are hurtful to anybody. Now, in this particular segment, Donald Trump got caught. And most of you guys know that Donald Trump basically doesn't want to apologize or back down from anything. But today, or actually yesterday, he posted some literature. Actually, it was created for him from a white supremacist group. And on the particular picture that he posted was what could be interpreted as a symbol of David. And the Jews went crazy, to the point that Mr. I never apologize or back away from anything took down his tweet with the Star of David symbol in the tweet and replaced it with a generic circle with the writing that was in the original Star of David tweet. Anyway, one of his supporters, and you'll see the names, I'm not going through the name crap, but one of his supporters just cannot get past the fact that Donald Trump is a racist. Her whole viewpoint, and I think she voices the opinion of many out there, is she is more concerned about the things that affect her, i.e. economics, I guess jobs, and national defense and safety. and she's willing to turn a blind eye to all of the obvious evidence that Donald Trump is a racist pig. All right, anyway, here goes the clip, and then you judge for yourself.
Seems like Donald Trump has offended nearly everyone in 140 characters or less. And it happened again on Saturday when he tweeted an attack on Hillary Clinton, calling her the most corrupt candidate ever.
Now, you see in that, on the obviously in red on the right side of that tweet, is what most people will interpret as a Star of David. Star of David, all this money in the background in Hillary Clinton's face. Okay.
With an image of her next to a six-pointed star over a pile of money. Predictably, Twitter erupted with some critics interpreting the tweet as an anti-Semitic use of the Star of David that played on Jewish stereotypes. Trump quickly deleted his tweet and replaced it with one with a circle instead of the star shape. But
Okay, so this is one time where I think Trump realized that he had gone so far over the line that he better back up, and that's why he changed the tweet.
To speedy screen grabbers like activist Michael Skolnick, the image lives on as yet another offensive misstep by the presumptive Republican nominee. Now, Trump has been known to retweet apparent neo-Nazis, and earlier this year, he refused to clearly disavow the endorsement of former Ku Klux Klan Grand Wizard David Duke, claiming he didn't know who he was. Back with me are Perry Bacon Jr., David Corn, and Amy Kramer. And Amy, this has been a bit of a pattern with Donald Trump. He'll tweet something. Usually he doesn't delete them. This one he actually deleted. And I noticed that even people on the right, the Eric Ericksons of the world, were horrified by this tweet. What do you make of it?
Well, Joy, I think honestly it was probably a staffer that made that meme and gave it to him and probably didn't think anything of it. And he got obviously backlash, and then he deletes it and puts in the one with the circle. I mean, he's either damned if he does or damned if he doesn't. I mean, Eric Erickson, those that are never Trump are going to go after him and attack him for anything and everything that they possibly can, because they want to stop him. And so, you know, I don't know what, he's not perfect. He's not a perfect human being. Yes, it was a misjudgment, a slight error on the campaign, but you know what? So was Bill Clinton meeting with Loretta Lynch on the airplane. So, you know,
all right, wait a minute. She's getting ready to try to mix apples and oranges. If it was a staffer that did this, Donald Trump should have issued an apology for it and fired the staffer. That's normally what happens when somebody makes this big of an error, but not Donald.
I don't think in the scheme of things, yes. Donald Trump is not an anti-Semitic. Donald Trump is not a racist. Okay. And in the scheme of things, that's what really matters.
First of all, there's literally no equivalence between running into somebody in the Phoenix airport in your private plane and retweeting anti-Semitic imagery. Hold on a second. We're not going to change the topic to Bill Clinton. I want to ask you a follow-up question, Amy. Without making this a conversation about Bill Clinton. This has offended many, many people of the Jewish faith. It is an incredibly ugly stereotype that was tweeted out here. What if this was a staffer? Does it bother you that Donald Trump has people on his staff that would create something like this? And does it bother you that his staff would allow him to tweet out not just this, but retweeting neo-Nazis before?
Joy?
When she said before, Donald Trump has been known to tweet out neo-Nazi propaganda that denigrates black people. And the last one that I recall was a neo-Nazi tweet that Donald retweeted that had some like absolutely crazy crime stats in regard to black people. They were so far blown out of the water that when PolitiFact went to fact check it, they basically said liar, liar, pants on fire. And when they approached Trump with it, he basically said that he just retweeted it. He doesn't necessarily subscribe to everything that he retweets. And I call bullshit on that one.
Look, you know what? The fact of the matter is that Donald Trump is not anti-Semitic. At the end of the day, all of these candidates, they are responsible for their staff. I don't know what happened to that staffer. I'm not sure how it happened. I'm not part of the campaign. But I do know that the people that found it offensive, he changed it. So I don't know what else you could do. It was a slight error on behalf of the campaign. And what else can you say? Move on. In the whole scheme of things, I don't think a tweet is going to make that big of a difference. His daughter converted to Judaism. He has 3 Jewish grandchildren. I mean, to call him a racist, anti-Semitic, that is a far, far stretch. And we know it's not
David
true.
Corn, let me let you in here, David. You seem to get in.
Well, we know, it's been reported today, that this wasn't made up by a Donald Trump staffer, but that actually it was found on a white supremacist site. So yet again, material that's being generated by racists, Nazis, and bigots have been used by Donald Trump on his own personal Twitter account. One time, Amy, one time might be a mistake, but this happens again and again and again, and I don't know why decent people like you are not troubled by the fact that neo-Nazis, white supremacists, people like David Duke are coming out in droves to support Donald Trump. If what I was saying was being seconded again and again and again by bigots and white nationalists, I might stop to ponder why that is, let alone not use their own material and direct my staff to be really careful on this point.
Because I haven't seen that. Where
Go
did
to
that
Twitter.
come out
It's been
today?
reported by, I think, by Mike. It's our Daily Beast. It's all over anybody's Twitter feed.
So Amy, respond to that. Because it wouldn't be the first time that Donald Trump was tweeting things that were sourced on a white supremacist website. I'm assuming that the average person does not traffic or find themselves perusing white nationalist website. That's something that people ordinarily do.
And I don't think Donald Trump is either.
So why is he retweeting things from them?
Maybe because he liked the tweet, whatever was said in the tweet. I mean, when I retweet somebody, I don't go and look and see what this person's whole life is about. I don't have time for that. Otherwise, I'd never retweet anybody.
You're not running for president.
Amy, I have to be honest with you. I do look, when you retweet somebody, even though we say retweets are not endorsements,
Yes.
you are in part taking ownership of the tweet that's underlying your own. And I'm just saying to you, Amy, I presume that you, hold on a second. I presume, Amy, that on a daily basis, on an average day, you are not on white supremacist websites so that you would even find what's on them. Right, so that if you're the guy you're supporting for president is somehow finding things that are sourced from white supremacist websites. I'm just asking you, because I asked you before about the white nationalists that are showing up at the convention and you didn't respond to it. Doesn't this bother you even a little bit, Amy?
Honestly, I'm not, those people, I'm not even paying, I can't control them. I have nothing to do with them. I can't control them. And honestly, Donald Trump can't either. He's disavowed them. I don't know what else you want him to do or say, because that's all he can do is disavow them.
Okay, Perry Bacon. And your comment.
It's striking that he deleted this. So it tells you that this is the one thing he's not really ever said. President Obama was born in the United States. Trump has not disavowed a lot of his comments. So it does tell me that this is one thing he felt. He must think he has some potential for Jewish support, and that he wanted to delete this immediately and change it. So that's a useful thing.
Okay, I don't know about Jewish support, but he damn sure don't want the Jews jumping up and down and pulling their money together to go after him, and especially a guy in Las Vegas, Mr. Adelson, who is 100% Jew and is richer than Donald Trump. He does not want that man's money thrown into the race, not necessarily supporting Hillary Clinton, but absolutely trying to destroy him.
know is that many things he says that are offensive, he does not disavow. This one, he seemed to. So that tells you something about who he thinks might vote for him, who he thinks might not vote for him.
And David Corn, this is all coming sort of it's a, coincidental and an opportune moment. Elie Wiesel just having passed away. This is something that did create a lot of sensitivity, but not just among people who are typical critics of Donald Trump and on the left, but across the board. I mean, this was whether you went to redstate.com or Hot Air or wherever you went, you were still seeing the same underlying criticism. Is this a staffing problem? Does somebody just take Donald Trump's phone from him? I mean, what is the underlying problem here?
Donald Trump has what you might call a decency problem. His first instinct, and people around him, is to attack and to say things that are offensive, whether it's bans of Muslim. And let's not forget about going after an American federal judge and calling him a Mexican, which in Donald Trump's parlance is an insult. So, we're not seeing isolated events. We're seeing a pattern. And, he can't have a conversation or a political debate without name-calling. So Hillary Clinton is always crooked Hillary when he's facing 3 fraud charges, who's been fined $750,000 by the U.S. government for violating laws earlier in his career. There's nothing crooked about him. It's all part of the same thing. It boils down to a lack of decency.
And Amy, I'll tell you, Amy, when Charlie Sykes, the radio host from Wisconsin, went after Donald Trump, it was on the basis of him attacking Carly Fiorina's looks, attacking Ted Cruz's wife's appearance. There's been the issue of accusing Ted Cruz's father of being part of the assassination of JFK. There is the issue with Judge Curiel. There was the recent comment that, I think there's a Mexican fighter plane. There does feel like there's a tick, right, that's coming from the candidate that isn't something staff are always doing. What do you attribute this tick to? Why do you think these kinds of stories keep being attached to the Donald Trump campaign? Why do you think it's happening?
Well, first of all, I think the media wants to drive the narrative. But second of all, he's not politically correct. He's never claimed to be politically correct.
Is this what non-political correctness means? Does it mean the freedom to offend? Is that what? Because I hear a lot from people in the conservative camp that they like the fact that he's getting rid of political correctness. In your view, is political correctness? Is it just not being able to offend people? Do you feel that people like Trump should have the right to offend people, and that would make them feel more free?
What I will tell you is that my safety and security for my family and my country, jobs and the economy, those are things that matter more to me than political correctness. And when it comes to deciding who I think is going to keep us safe and get our economy back on track and deal with healthcare and education, Donald Trump is the one.
All right, so I guess she swallows because she just stated what's important to her, and basically the hell with everything else, including Donald Trump being a racist.
Perry, I think that Amy gets to something fundamental, because I think that there are two conversations that are going on that are not the same conversation. You have this outrage whenever Donald Trump says something that really shocks sort of the conscience of people who are looking at what he's saying in terms of ethnicity or religion or etc. But then you have people like Amy who I think quite sincerely say, I don't care about that. That actually doesn't matter to me. I don't hear you when you talk about neo-Nazis showing up to events. I don't care. I only care about my fundamental issue, which is, economics, or him ending, trade or reducing Chinese incursion into the steel market. Is that really what's happening? Are there just two completely different conversations going on that will never intersect?
I think so, in that if you're Mitt Romney, you say, I can never vote for this person. They have views they've made comments and they've taken positions that I cannot stand for and I cannot abide by. Versus Mitch McConnell has said, I'm the Republican leader of the Senate. Donald Trump would pick conservative judges. He put out a list of judges. Those judges were all from the Federal Society. I like those people. Hillary Clinton would not nominate those people. I'm going to vote for Donald Trump for president. I think there's both those positions to me are logical, and both have a certain amount of consistency to them, and both have and I understand people taking both those views, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
So you had two different camps. The camp that swallows, i.e., ignores all of the abhorrent behavior of Donald Trump, and you have the camp that won't swallow, that basically said they can't support the guy because of his views, his use of negative comments regarding people, his name calling, the hell with it, his misogyny, his xenophobia, his racism. his out and out lying, his fraudulent operations, specifically Trump University and Trump Institute. So yeah, our only hope now is that there are more people who don't swallow than people that do. Because Clinton, you know, she's got her baggage too, but at this point, the bigger asshole between the two of them, in my opinion, there you have it. The only question that you have to answer for yourself is, based on the evidence, and there's a lot of it, do you swallow or not?